Hi, I'm John Terrill. I'm the CISO at Phosphorus. And we want to talk to you today about a new vulnerability that was just disclosed impacting secure shell, or more commonly referred to as SSH. The concern here is that SSH is one of the most popular remote access tools for server administration. It's a new vulnerability. It's being reported as CVE2024-6387. And this is a race condition in the SSHD service. So this is a bit of an odd bug to have come out because it was originally patched in 2006. So this, for some reason, had made its way back into the code base in October of 2020 and has been with us now in July of 2024. So in theory, this has been floating around for almost four years undetected. So this bug impacts a race condition with a signal handler that if you can feng shui the access to resources either by speeding up or slowing down the expected behavior, you can start to do some weird things. And in this case, if it's done right, you can actually trigger a remote unauthenticated code execution bug. So this is kind of the holy grail of getting into remote services. This is kind of an odd thing to come out. So we saw a blog post from Qualys about this, and then 2 hours later, a proof of concept has come out that's 565 lines of code. And for anybody that's met a 10x coder, even they, in many cases, are not going to be able to crank that out in that period of time. So it's kind of suspicious with the XZ backdoor from a couple of months ago, along with the fact that the GitHub that the proof of concept was posted to has only the single proof of concept and nothing else. It's likely that this is either some kind of coordinated vulnerability disclosure, or somebody's been sitting on some 0 days for either the last couple of years or potentially since 2006 when it got patched. It's unclear if this might also be an inadvertent type of backdoor. So with the XE backdoor, it was looking for a very specific signature for an encryption key. With this, it's a more difficult to detect vulnerability that, provided it's reliable, could give you access without a key. So if you just happen to know it was there through kind of a security by obscurity, that might be the way that you could break in with it. So what does this mean for you? So there are millions of SSH services exposed to the speed in which it gets weaponized by criminal groups or nation states. And in many cases, folks that are looking to either launch a crypto miner or install some kind of ransomware. That used to be months of time, but they've become a lot more sophisticated and a lot more adept at being able to weaponize these things fast. So the expectation is, provided that this proof of concept is correct and works, this will probably make its way into an exploit kit for a campaign within the next 24 to 72 hours. So running up right up to the July 4th holiday. So happy 4th of July. So what can we do with this? Well, for your traditional IT assets, there are patches available. You should absolutely follow best practices and what your organization has access to. If you're a Phosphorus customer, or if you're thinking about being, we have some interesting stuff that we're putting out to allow you to start identifying this for your xIoT devices. So think anything that you can't put an agent on. This could be anything from an IP phone on your desk to a robotic arm inside of a factory, and everything in between. So the challenge with this is we're kind of at the mercy of the vendor. We can't upgrade specific components, but we can upgrade entire firmware images. So we're going to be waiting until those come out. But in the meantime, it's best to get a handle on what this means. So if you're inside of the Phosphorus product and you go into launching a scan, there's an option right next to the agenda where it says the scan agenda. Just to the right of that, there's a button that says custom. If you click on custom, it's going to give you a text field, and you can drop in a JSON file that like we're going to post, and that JSON file has what's called a custom agenda, and that's going to give you the ability to to customize and get a fast scan that's going to use our intelligent active scanning methodology, but also allow to look for this SSH problem. Now, the other option is you can always launch a deep scan, which is just going to kind of throw everything at the wall. It's going to find it, but it's also going to do a lot more stuff as we try to have a lighter weight scan to not impact these xIoT devices. That's the preferred method. So once you do that and launch a scan, you can go into the job section, and under the scan jobs, you'll also see that it lists the agenda that was used there. So that's where you're going to be able to confirm that it's scanned with that specific agenda. And then the last part is if you go into the devices tab, you're going to be able to go into the query. And if you paste a query that we're including with the video here, you should be able to search for everything that is vulnerable to this SSH problem. Now, that's a lot of text to copy and paste. There's also a button next to it called Save Query. And if you go and click on that, it's going to remember that query. And the next time, if you click on a blank search bar and you go beneath it, you should see some text that say filters and saved queries and query history. If you click on the saved queries, you can just go and click on that and run that every single time. So that's the fast way to be able to find this inside of your xIoT world. From a mitigation standpoint, again, unfortunately, we are at the mercy of the vendors. As additional firmware comes out where this is patched, you can go in via Spyglass and click on the given device and just say to fix this problem. And we will automatically instrument the firmware upgrade procedure and take care of that. In the meantime, the bulk of the mitigations here are going to be dependent on trying to disable the service. In most cases, you don't need SSH on an xIoT device in the first place. It's just not what these things were intended for. There are some edge cases, but ideally you can turn off that service. The next option is going to be to segment your network. And this is traditionally done with a firewall. This can be simplistically done with blocking access to port 22, or more robustly done with aggressive segmentation policies, strategies such as micro-segmentation. The last option would be for some kind of monitoring, network traffic analysis tool, or an IPS. This is not ideal as it's not going to prevent a problem, but it might give you the ability to detect if you've got an unauthorized SSH connection. So that's what's on the agenda. This is going to get weaponized soon, or at least that is the expectation. But in the meantime, stay safe, and we hope you get this done before the long holiday.